I'm going to introduce to you a concept called world building in real life. Let's get started. So, authors, cinematographers, video game designers, they often use this term called world building to describe the process of inventing the rules, norms, and general environment of the stories they're trying to tell. But I'm here to make the point that I think we have more creativity to give. We often constrain our creativity to these fictional environments that we can only really access through a screen or in the pages of books. But we can actually change, wake up to, and modify the world around us much more than we think we're capable of. So I want to illustrate this example by telling you about what we did at Waterloo in 2022. So in 2022, this was kind of the general state of affairs. We were coming right out of the pandemic. There weren't that many communities that existed. A lot of the student community was very disconnected. And if you were a person who was particularly entrepreneurial, when you looked around, you couldn't really find that many examples of people building something cool that could inspire you. But we had a hypothesis and we had a vision that a few voices could crack through this noise, and over time we would realize that there was an entire campus, an entire world of founders and creatives that would spring to life if given the right circumstances. We designed what I like to call a self-actualization system, but in practice this looked like an in-person community. So we were taking a very disconnected population. We were funneling them through our system, which essentially introduced the concept that a founder is potentially someone who has ever once had an idea about the world and how it could potentially be different in any way. We invited them to these big events where they'd get to talk about their big ideas with other people. We'd funnel them into these co-working sessions where they had a recurring place to practice and get feedback with people. And then finally, we had this theory that that would result in a lot of companies' creative projects being built. So we grew from these small classrooms to these giant celebrations of creativity in only 4 years. And it spanned 42 different cities in the world. So not only were we changing the environment around us in Waterloo, but we were changing the environment of a ton of different cities who saw what we were doing and took inspiration from it. And it worked. A lot of the original organizers of Socratica have now gone on to found their own companies. Some of those are based in Canada, some of those people have moved. But what I want to emphasize here is that the community was not like a hobby we were doing for fun. It was actually the critical infrastructure and scaffolding that allowed these people to develop the confidence to become founders one day. So it really started with the community. With all of this being said, this is kind of the vision I have for world building in real life. It's casting a vision into the void and then figuring out the steps through prototyping in-person experiences of how you can actually meaningfully change the culture of the place that you live. So what does that mean for Toronto in 2026? Lots of people have big dreams about Toronto, but Toronto, like many of the places where I've talked to community organizers who are trying to change their culture, has 3, I think, failure modes for why community initiatives might not work out. The first one is a lot of the time when people leave the house, they like to pretend that they're boring. They like to put on basically the personality equivalent of a gray trench coat so nobody can be aware of how secretly interesting they are. In Toronto, this might look familiar. I know all of you own a black puffer jacket. The second thing is getting distracted with faraway places. So whether that's other communities, different cities, every ounce of energy that you spend looking elsewhere is time that you could be instead funneling into the people, places around you and making them meaningfully better. This is a big distraction and is a distraction for people everywhere trying to build local communities. And finally, waiting for someone else to do it is not how anything ever got started. So black puffer jackets are safe. I get why people do this. It's easy to look to other places. It's safe to wait for someone to come and save you and build the community you want to be part of. But being brave is worth it. And everyday people stepping up to improve the circumstances of the people around them is kind of the only way anything has ever happened in the history of everything. Every scene that you know of, everything that inspires you was started by an everyday person who thought they could do something a little bit better than it was that day. So, for 2030, 4 years from now, where can we get in 4 years? I want us to put away our black puffer jackets and design rooms that encourage people to really show how actually interesting they are. And I want everybody to think about how they personally could contribute to building the community that they want to see in this city. You might not be a host, a community organizer. You might have space to give. You might feel like sponsoring is something you're into. Maybe you do media. Whatever skill set you have to contribute, if I've learned anything from all of this community organizing work and partnering with people, it's that belonging and ownership are two sides of the same coin. And you can't really feel invested and like you belong in a place if you aren't contributing to what you want it to become. You won't be alone if you engage in this activity. You'll be among legends. There are many, many people in Toronto who have been stepping up over the past several years to build the communities and environments that they know this city needs, and you could be part of that. And yeah, my company basically supports community organizers in doing that, so if you want to partner, please reach out. There's big things coming for Toronto, and I'm very excited about them. Thank you.